Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Judge, Senior Associate Athletic Director here at Seton Hall, and welcome to the 2020-2022 Hall of Fame. This has been 3 years in the making. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see everyone in this room, the faces, and to really be able to see these 6 amazing honorees get the award and the induction that they've been waiting for and are well deserved. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors for this evening. Our dinner sponsor, the Frangello family, thank you. Our cocktail reception sponsor, the Luciola family. And our inductee sponsor, Ernst & Young. I'd also like to thank everyone in this room. I know many of you, I can't say them all because they're in there, but everyone in that program, thank you so much for the ads that you put in and for your support of this great evening. To begin our evening, I would like to bring up Father Colin Kay for our invocation. Father Colin.
You know, when the last race has been run and the last match has been won, when the game clock, the big game clock, reads all zeros, that's when we'll know. We'll know who are the heroes. Brothers and sisters, in the end, the winners are going to be those who have loved. Tonight is about love. Love for athletics, love for athletes, love for this university, love for one another, and for those we honor this night. For them and for all whom we love, let us pray. God of all love, fill our hearts with your love, that we may know what you love, and love what you love, and do what you love, and be what you love. In Jesus, in Christ, who has won the victory, may we live in love this night and always, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. May the Lord bless you and the food you're about to receive. Amen.
Thank you, Father Kay. For a few remarks, I would now like to bring up to the podium our 21st president of Seton Hall University, Dr. Joseph Nyer.
Thank you, Jay. On behalf of the Board of Regents, the Board of Trustees, 100,000 alums, the entire Seton Hall community, thank you for joining us tonight as we finally welcome the Hall of Fame class of 2020. We have 6 extraordinary honorees, one of whom, Jean Aid, sadly passed away last year. But we're grateful that her family is with us to accept her honor posthumously. Welcome home. Several sports are represented here this evening: football, volleyball, men's basketball, men's track and field. And we have 2 special honorees, 2 special inductees who gave their time and their talent and their energy to Seton Hall and our athletics department. Again, it's a joy to recognize your incredible accomplishments and to say to all of you, welcome home. Pirate pride is a term you hear quite often around Seton Hall, not only in reference to our athletics. Wisely, our community recognizes that we are one university, one team. Students, student athletes, faculty, staff, clergy, religious men and women, volunteers, alumni, and parents. We strive together towards the same goal, to give future servant leaders of the world a solid educational foundation rooted in our Catholic traditions, our Catholic values. I'm often asked, but how does having an athletics program and spending resources on an athletics program fulfill that mission? And the answer, it's in our DNA. It's in our DNA. The ancient Greeks, when they established the academy, they knew how important physical activity was, healthy competition, to developing and training the mind. That's why a gymnasium was an inseparable part of the academy. Seton Hall and virtually all colleges and universities still honor this tradition, and there are countless benefits. At Seton Hall, student athletes also give us something to rally behind and to celebrate. It's where memories and friendships are made that last a lifetime. And they give us an adhesive that makes us feel that we are part of a community. They exemplify the spirit of hard work and determination and reaching higher. That is the quintessence of the athlete and the quintessence of the student. And they each teach us that whatever we study, whatever we do, whatever we teach, we practice, perform, or play, we can only be successful in life when we work together as a team, as a community. So on behalf of the entire community at Seton Hall, I congratulate our inductees tonight on your amazing accomplishments, and I thank you for serving as stellar examples of what great minds, bodies, and spirits can do as a team. God bless you all, and go Pirates.
Thank you, Dr. Nyer. I would now like to bring up our Director of Athletics and Recreation, Brian Phelp.
I plan to be brief, as I know dinner is next. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome all of you tonight to our Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony, a ceremony that obviously has been long overdue. Tonight we get to add 6 extraordinary individuals to our Hall of Fame. And before we begin, I want to take a moment to recognize all of our current Hall of Fame members who have joined us here this evening. It's always a special privilege to see the many Hall of Famers that come back each year to support the newest class. So if our Hall of Famers that are in this audience, and I know there are several of you, could please stand and be recognized, I'd love to give you a round of applause. So all of you Hall of Famers, Alfred, there you go. There you go, Greg. I would also like to pay special recognition to one specific member of our Hall of Fame, if you will. Coach John Moon is here this evening. And this past season here at Seton Hall was John Moon's 50th season as a head coach. His 50th, ladies and gentlemen. And this past December, he was inducted into the U.S. Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Coach Moon, please stand up one more time. I never tell Coach Moon when I'm going to do those things, so he just gave me a little, I'm in trouble a little bit, but yeah. But thank you, Coach, and thank you to all of our Hall of Famers for being here. I also want to thank all the members of our Board of Regents for being here tonight, and certainly all of our sponsors and our loyal supporters, certainly the Frangillo family who makes these events happen every year. They are dear friends of ours and loyal supporters. Thank you to them. Events like this wouldn't be possible without all of you, without all the support of our Pirate Blue members, our friends, and our family. Thank you to all of you for being here. You have given all of the young men and women here today the chance to wear a Seton Hall University uniform, and to pursue the athletic and academic dreams that they have, and to hopefully one day have those dreams of one day being like the 6 members tonight, being Hall of Fame members. I look forward to this great evening, and I look forward to celebrating Jean, Jerry, Jennifer, Remus, who, by the way, I think still could play. I saw him earlier. Kevin and Patrick. You 6 will be Hall of Famers in a short time, and we honor you here tonight because you have paved the way for our student athletes' future success. So thank you. And go Pirates.
Thank you, Brian. Bar's open, appetizer in front of you. Enjoy. Dinner will be out shortly, and then we'll get to the inductions. Thank you, everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed dinner. We're now going to begin our evening. I know our fantastic food services will be coming around, collecting some plates, as well as putting down dessert, but we will be continuing the program and starting our ceremony. We will have induction videos for all of our inductees. We will then have our inductees come over, take a photo with our athletic director, and then say a few words. Our first inductee, Jean Aid.
Jean was a very special person, and it's particularly the reason why a lot of us, myself in particular, stayed in touch with her for over 50 years. And for someone to have that connection with students and undergraduates, she had to be a force. And as we used to say, Jean was a force that was like no other.
Well, Jean had an office in the Student Center. I worked in the Student Center as the Director of Student Activities, and Assistant Director of Student Activities. And of course, our daily day, we met a lot and interacted together. And she became a friend. She always had students in her office.
She promoted all sports and student fan participation. She was behind all the sports. She wanted to see people out there. She organized bus trips for fans, had an open ear to students and listened to their concerns, tried to accommodate their needs.
She was great with people. She always was at her games. She always had a smile on her face. That's what I remember. And if you ever had a problem, you could go talk to her. You know, if you had a problem in class, she was really the athletic department. She did everything for us. If you had a problem down in the cafeteria, she would help you out.
She had a great ability to connect and engage with students, particularly to engage with athletes. And she made everybody feel accepted, not just for who they were, but for what they were doing. And she had a great zest for life that spread over to her work. I don't think I ever saw Jean in 2 years that I was around her every day in the student union and in the gym she had a bad day. She loved being at Seton Hall, and she loved being around students, and she loved being around athletes.
She was there at everything. Every basketball game, every baseball game, soccer, golf. I think she might even caddy sometimes, who knows. But she left her mark at Seton Hall. She loved the Pirates. She loved everything about the Pirates.
I was just so attracted to her because of her openness, her eagerness, her willingness to be of help and be of assistance. People needed tickets for games and so on. She'd go out of her way to make sure they were taken care of. So it was she was just a real model Seton Hall person.
Her office really became a mental health counseling center where athletes, and I'll particularly talk about some basketball players and some baseball players, could just go whether they were playing well or not and just be there. And we used to call her mother, and they were in all the good sense. Jean had an intuitive sense of when to give you some confidence. She had an incredible sense to give you a little whack on the back of the head, tell you to grow up. And she was just somebody that people knew that she cared for them.
If I went 0 for 3 or 0 for 4, she put a smile on my face somehow. And even though I was going to be miserable, you know, back in those days, you were able to go to the pub. We had a pub right on campus. And if you stunk it up one day, you can go have a beer with your teammates and forget about it. And we'd always run into Jean somewhere. She was always around. She put more hours in that office and outside the office and just on campus.
My senior year, we had a rule with Coach Regan that we, being 21, we could go out after games, and on occasion we'd bump into Jean and Fred at a local Cryans or a local pub in Valesburg. And but she was always, you know, the life of the party, but even more so, she was always someone in a social environment getting people engaged and getting people up. She had a great, once again, knack of engaging people and making people feel good.
Why do I think Jean Aid belongs in the Hall of Fame? Because it's not just about athletes, it's not just about administrators, it's about everybody and people that leave their mark on Seton Hall. And Jean Aid did that. She was special. She did it for a long period of time. She was a credit to say that, and so proud to be a part of Seton Hall's family. And that's what a lot of people tell you that make the Hall of Fame. It's really like a family. You may not agree with all the things that went on, and me and Shepard went at it a bunch of times, but you know, at the end of the day, they're trying to make you better. And Jean Aid made me better, and she's definitely deserving of the Hall of Fame.
She probably influenced more athletes than anybody at the university in a diverse way. She knew them, she knew what was going on with them, she would reach out, and being a young male or female in college, it's always comforting to know that people who you may not even know are aware of what you're doing. And Jean went out of her way to do that every day, and to be incredibly supportive of the coaches, of the program, and most importantly, of the student athletes.
She deserves to be in it because she was she was so much for so many, and I think that's the key. You know, I'm talking about it from an athletics point of view. There were many non-athletic students who surrounded her and who she would talk to, and she would counsel, and she would become their mother when needed. So she was a very special person in that respect, and I think that's important. I mean, what's more important than supporting the students and being a friend to the students?
She loved people, did it all for Seton Hall University, not for herself.
It is an honor and privilege
For me to present to you
for induction into Seton Hall University Athletics Hall of Fame,
Jean Aid.
Throughout her 20-year career at the Student Center ticket office from 1967 until 1987, my mother was an integral part of university life. Through the sheer force of her personality, especially her uncanny ability to reach out to and engage with people, she transformed that tiny little ticket office into a gathering place and counseling center for colleagues, students, and student athletes who held a special place in her heart. This strong rapport allowed her to dispense sage advice and hard truths wrapped in warmth and humor. And her office took on a vibe that embodied Oprah, Dr. Phil, and Sports Center all rolled into one. As many of you probably remember, she and my father were ardent fans of university sporting events. They rarely missed a basketball game and were formative members of both the Quarterback Club and the Diamond Club. Those years as the Seton Hall ticket lady and as the Good Witch were some of the favorite times of her life. And in her later years, memories of Seton Hall are what she reminisced about the most. As a testament to the impact she made, many former students and colleagues kept in touch through the years and remained an important part of her life. My mother passed away last year, but not before she received the wonderful news that she was chosen to be inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. She was absolutely thrilled and really enjoyed reading the many letters written about her. So on behalf of my brother Paul, my sister Beth, and myself, thank you to all who wrote in support of her nomination. Thank you to all who are here tonight, especially our table mates, with a special shout out to Jay Boyle for his generosity. And thank you to Monsignor Kelly, Kevin Foley, Rick Cerrone, and Ed Manigan for their participation and kind words on the video. Thank you also to Chris Hale, Jay Judge, and the athletic department staff for this wonderful honor for my mother and for this lovely evening.
Next up, Jerry Alexander.
What impressed me about his whole venture here at Seton Hall University is that the fact that he wanted to be the best that he can be, and I can see that in him.
Jerry was a well-liked, I'd say loved character, always rose to the occasion. We had a personal relationship, and head coaches, I did not want to get into personal relationships with all the players because that takes away from your focus. But with Jerry, it was special. It was special.
What made Jerry special, again, was his drive and his determination to be good at whatever it was. In high school, he played 3 sports. He played basketball, baseball, and football. He thrived in really baseball was one of his best sports, but he really did strive in football.
And I had the privilege of coaching Jerry, who was delightful to coach. He was just a very, very natural football player, hardworking guy, smart guy.
Is the type of individual that's a really hard worker, for one, and he's very persistent when it comes time for him to do whatever it is he wants to accomplish. He really doesn't take no very well. So what he does, he'll go above and beyond to make whatever it is need to happen.
Smart, quick, an intelligent football player. You never really had to psych Jerry up to play the game. As the week went on and you got closer to Saturday, he started getting more and more serious. And when the kickoff happened on Saturday, he was at, when I tell you 100%, I'm not talking about 99%. He was at 100% ready to play that game.
Jerry was a very popular athlete. Me being his little brother, I would come to a lot of the football games out here, and I was a water boy. And I was very proud of the fact that my big brother played football and that he was a very popular, guy in the university itself, so.
Well, I don't think that Jerry was ever captain. I may be wrong, but it didn't matter. He was always a leader, because he didn't, he practiced hard, he played hard, he was supportive of his teammates, he loved the game, and he had a great relationship with not only me, but the rest of the coaching staff. So, I mean, those are key elements of a kid, of a player who's helping your program.
When he was a younger guy, I know he was a gym rat. He stayed in the gym a lot, stayed working out. Even when I was a kid, when we were living home, he would try to wake me up early in the morning, want me to go running with him. But I wasn't getting up that early. He would go running for hours and hours at a time. At some point in time when it would snow outside, my father would ask him to get up and go outside and shovel snow. And my neighbor one day seen Jerry outside shoveling the snow. and Jerry shoveled the snow so fast that my neighbor actually gave him the nickname of a steam shovel.
I had an opportunity to coach against Jerry before I became a coach here at Seton Hall in 1972. And I was the defensive coordinator at St. Peter's, and we played Seton Hall every year. And I remember a week before we were playing Seton Hall in '71, I spoke to two scouts who had scouted a Seton Hall game. And they said to me, my recollection is Jerry's number was 11. And the scouts said to me, if we can control number 11, we got a shot at winning the game. The problem was when we played Seton Hall a week or two later, the quarterback had gotten injured.
Our quarterback went down and wasn't able to play. And Jerry wasn't really a backup quarterback. He was just a superb athlete.
And Jerry, who had never played quarterback before, was the quarterback. So all of the game plan to try to double team Jerry, to control him a little bit, went out the window.
And we brought him in, and he played in 1 week's training. He was a starting quarterback against St. Peter's, and he was superb. He was superb, you know, and he could make things happen. Like any good athletic quarterback today, if the play breaks down, he can do something with the play, and he did. And most importantly, he ran, because he was more dangerous as a runner than he was as a passer.
I remember one time, he came off the bench one time, and I came over there to give him some water. And I believed that he was in pain that day, but he didn't really want me to know it. So what he didn't like shove me off, and he just got up and walked away. And I kind of got that vibe from him, you know, so what I did, I just let him be. And I believe that day he ended up having a pretty good day, so.
We won the national championship against Marist College in 1972. Jerry was an integral part of that win. We played Marist College at Fordham University. Big crowd, great game. I think we won the game. We won the national championship 20-18. As soon as the gun went off to end the game, Jerry comes over to me, gives me the biggest hug you can imagine, and I found myself kissing him on the cheek. He was just a delightful guy to be with.
Because he was a great person and a great football player, and he stood out. And whatever qualities the Hall of Fame looks at in an athlete, I would assume he fills those qualities. I'm confident that he fills those qualities.
If he's not the best football player to ever play at Seton Hall University in modern times, he's certainly in the top 3 or 4.
It's an honor and privilege
for me to present to you,
for induction into the Seton Hall University
Athletics Hall of Fame,
Jerry Alexander.
Good evening. Well, there's not much left for me to say, but I do want to say first, giving glory to God and my lovely family and my pirate family. So that makes me one of the luckiest guys in this building. So to Frank, Ed, Joe, there's a whole gang of guys. I can't start naming because I have to name the whole football team. But I do remember, I do want to say 2 things. Jeannie A, oh, she's a sweetheart. Everything that they said about her is true. She fed you if you was hungry. If with the cafeterias closed or we come home late from practice, she would have snacks for us in her office. The Jeannie office, the magic was in that office. And we was, the game that the gentleman was talking about, we were going to score. And Coach Madigan sent a play in. He sent a 46 halfback run. So as Joe Hubert, my favorite, came walking back and we was walking, he said, well, what did Coach say? I said, Coach said we're going to run a 46. He said, okay. And then when we got up to the line, Joe said, you sure we're going to run the 46? I said, yes, we're going to run the 46, but I'm keeping it. So I'm glad the play worked, because if it didn't work, I would not have returned to the sideline. I would just kept running on down South Orange Avenue. So I say that to say this. I thank everyone who supported me receiving this honor. And I thank you all, and especially my lovely family, because they've been with me through a lot. And go Pirates.
Up next, Jennifer Cheshire.
Jen Cheshire, she is a well-rounded volleyball player, but on and off the court, she is a sincere, kind, and great friend to myself and so many teammates. She is a powerful, strong, and smart woman.
Well, Jennifer Cheshire was quite an athlete when she played for me at St. Pius X High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I likened her athletic attributes to a gazelle, to tell you the truth. I mean, she moved really fluid. She was a great jumper. I just think her athleticism just really above and beyond everyone else on the volleyball court, just kind of set her apart.
Not that I have to rack my brain about Chesh, we call her Chesh fondly because her last name was Cheshire, and everyone just called her Chesh. She was one of the best diggers and hitters for Seton Hall, for the program at the time. Very strong player, probably one of the strongest players I've ever had. A great work ethic in the weight room and what she needed to do for her position. She could jump out of the gym, and she was just very disciplined. And in fact, when she first came in, she was very like a fawn with her eyes wide open, because she was really intimidated. I don't think she really knew what to expect at the Division I level, but she had some really great players in front of her as well that taught her about her position. And her position was an outside hitter, but we called it a cannon, because you're supposed to go boom. You're supposed to put the ball away and go boom. And Chesh definitely was a cannon. She definitely had the arm, she had the body behind it.
Chesh, as we called her, she was our powerhouse. She was our outside hitter, and as a setter and a team player, she was the type of athlete that I could always go to. So she was the go-to outside cannon. She put away the ball when we needed it, and she was always there to get the job done.
She really impressed us with leaving close to 2,000 miles away from home and still doing the same thing that she always did, that was be an A+ student and one of the best athletes that, of course, we've ever seen or we were ever to hang around with.
A bad day for Jennifer was when practice got canceled. So she was as dedicated when she hit Seton Hall as she was when she was in high school. She loved playing volleyball. But it wasn't an easy start. When she got there her freshman year, we're a close family. We did a few meals, more than a few, where we had her on speakerphone and she literally ate dinner with us.
I can remember receiving some letters from Jennifer and telling me just how difficult it was. The transition from high school to college, being really difficult and being really tasking.
I think what smoothed it out for her is she joined right in with the team, and they were a group from the moment that she arrived on campus. So that helped make the transition for her. After we got past midway on that first semester, she felt like she was an integral part of Seton Hall, and she loved it. She loved all of her years there.
When you're talking about attributes of a student athlete, one, they take care of business in the classroom. Jennifer was always very self-directed in the classroom. She held herself to a high standard in the classroom. And as coaches, we feel if you're great in the classroom, it transfers to the volleyball court.
She's a smart, intelligent woman. She knew right off the bat what she wanted to study here at Seton Hall with her criminal justice and Spanish minor. She was into school just as much as she was with the volleyball program. Her dedication on and off the court was something to admire and to look up to. For me, especially being 2 years younger, she was a role model in that way for me.
Because of her great commitment to improving herself, I think that leadership showed through. So she really helped the younger players. And I think it's always important when you have that team chemistry that you always have the younger players looking for the older players and the older players, respond to that. And she definitely, I think, responded to that. She was a great team leader. So I think that's her biggest, I would say her biggest impact would have been.
She wasn't one to really be assertive on a team unless they got in a critical game situation. She had a year in there, and I don't remember exactly which year it was, where she was captain of the team. And some of the girls weren't prepping quite the way she thought that they should before they headed off to games. And she didn't have a hesitation about voicing that. And it worked well for her. I mean, she had a sense of ownership about the team, and we liked that. We liked when we saw that she took hold of a situation like that. And
for so many reasons, Jen deserves this Hall of Fame because she put the hard work and dedication into her training. She was recruited by our coach, Stephanie, for a reason, and she made tremendous impact on the court and off the court for all of us. We were co-captains for my sophomore year, and she led by example for that, and all the amazing plays that she's had over the years have contributed to this day. So I'm so proud of her.
Bottom line was this. I think her improvements over the years, based upon her stats, based upon her ability to lead a team, based upon her nomination as a team captain, speaks volumes for the kid. I think she's developed over the years a sense of trust amongst her teammates, her coaching staff. They, in turn, were able to give her a huge amount of responsibility because, one, they knew she could handle it, and secondly, they knew that she was going to deliver. And at the end of the day, rest assured, Jennifer was going to do everything she could possibly do to help her team be successful.
I always knew that she could compete, but I didn't realize how well she was going to perform in that setting.
As she epitomizes a student athlete, she was a great student and a great athlete. So I think she epitomizes for sure what belongs at the Seton Hall of Fame.
It is an honor and privilege
for us to present to you
for induction into the Seton Hall University Athletics Hall of Fame,
Jennifer Cheshire.
Well, wow. As we all know, there's no way to have any of these accomplishments without all the people that surround you during the time leading up, as well as during the time, being here at Seton Hall. And first and foremost, I want to thank, of course, my parents, my biggest supporters, always a good sounding board for me, never tried to solve my problems, just listened, and always there for me. And I grew up thinking that I could really accomplish anything I wanted to if I decided that's what I wanted to do. And I think that's a credit to them. There wasn't anything that I thought I couldn't do. There wasn't anything that was off the table. And again, always being behind me, and especially my dad in high school agreed to do some jump training with me. And I wasn't always, I guess, willing, but we had an agreement, so we went out and did it. And I do have to thank them for putting up with my high school attitude here and there. I don't remember it, but apparently I could be pretty special at times during those workouts. But again, thank you to them. And also, my high school coach, Toby Mons, was able to make it, which was a big surprise. But I do have to be grateful for him being hard on me when it was very warranted, but also for providing me with the opportunity to gain the skills to have the opportunity to play at the college level and to be successful there. So I am definitely grateful for that as well. And of course to my coaches from Seton Hall that could not be here, Steph and Scotty, but for taking that chance on some kid from New Mexico, bringing him out to the East Coast and giving me that opportunity to, to be here and be a part of the Seton Hall family. Again, it was they set the environment to have a successful 4 years here and to, make it unforgettable in that regard. And of course, you saw her on the video, but Beata, she was my roommate for 2 years. She was a setter on our team, also the maid of honor at my wedding. So again, those lifelong relationships and friendships that you build when you're here at Seton Hall. And none of the stuff that I think, especially for those 2 years that we played together, could I even have come close to accomplishing without having her on the court with me. I think we pushed each other and we worked really well together, and that was just something that you can't forget. And it was it's a credit to her that I was able to accomplish a lot of the things that that got me here to this point for this opportunity. And of course, my husband, my partner for 21 years, to have the life we have now, that we could be here with our 4 kids and our whole family to celebrate this moment. I want to say thanks for that, and I'm very grateful to be here and have the opportunity to be in front of you all and be part of this prestigious group. But everybody here at Seton Hall, the time that I was there, to again set that environment to be able to have those 4 unforgettable years that those stories will last forever, and those relationships will last forever. So again, Seton Hall, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm very honored to have this. Thank you.
And I can tell you there was no piece of paper here. That was off the cuff. Well done. Next up, Remus Cocainus.
When you think about grit, and you think about passion, and you think about Seton Hall basketball, especially now for me as the head coach, I want my guys to be like how Remus Cocainus was here.
As a first-time coach or as a coach taking over any program, is that you're kind of curious of how you will be received. How will the players, in particular in the locker room, will receive you and welcome you into this program and this school, this institution. And it's certainly with having Remus Cocainus, Remus being one of the main guys to be able to say to me how much he was looking forward to have an opportunity to be coached by our staff and by me and welcoming us to the program. And thinking of him as one of the all-time favorites, I think of that as something that's very meaningful to me as a young coach, to know that you have this guy here who's feel like he believes in you.
Remus was the epitome of a student athlete at Seton Hall. He was a self-made player. He was someone that was a tireless worker. I remember so many times he was always the first guy to the gym, the last guy to leave. Wanted so badly. He had such a drive to be a good player. I mean, he came in with, he wasn't a highly ranked guy, was kind of an unknown commodity and turned himself into an all Big East level player, through hard work, through determination. He was the ultimate competitor. And, he also was a terrific student. He was a guy that you never had to worry about. He was the exact kind of player and student athlete that you wanted to have in your program.
First impression of Remus, great person. He was a little shy in the beginning. As time went on and him and I got closer, he got more outgoing and became like just great person, great teammate, great player.
We always have a saying in our program that one of the things that's important that we talk about ability is important. Dependability is critical. I can always think of Remus as a player and as a person that was dependable. And I think as you get older and you go through stages of life, if you have people that you can depend on, rely on, you're very lucky.
He had a drive to be really good, and he was very diligent. He was a detailed guy about his workouts, about taking care of his body, how he handled himself with people. He had the utmost of character. There wasn't a person on campus who didn't love Remus. Everywhere you went, people were waving at him, saying hello. He'd always greet you with a smile, and he treated everybody with amazing respect. But I think the thing that impressed me the most was his improvement. Just to see how every year he continued to get better and better, and how he developed into such a great leader. By his senior year, to be a leader on a team that went to a Sweet 16. Was a big reason was his leadership and his will to win and his competitive nature that helped carry us there.
Just his work ethic, right? And what it meant for him to be at Seton Hall and have this opportunity. I wasn't sure he was. I'm not sure he was recruited by a lot of schools, so he came here with like a chip on his shoulder, and he came here with something to prove, and that impressed me. Every year he got better. He wanted to get better. He wanted to be that guy, and by the time our senior year, he became one of the better players on the team and the leader of the team, along with myself.
Think of something that it goes by the wayside. He really enjoyed what he was doing. How cool is that to be able to say he had fun, and you had fun coaching him. You had fun being around him. He was a player and person that you enjoyed seeing. But I just don't remember him being a person that you always felt like you had to pick him up, or I just always felt like he was grateful and appreciative, and he wanted to take advantage of the opportunity that was in front of him, which is to play a sport he loves and go to a school that he loves and get a great education and be grateful for it. And that's the way I would describe him. That's maybe I didn't say those things enough to him when I coached him. Looking back, I wish I would have said more of that to him, but I certainly felt that way about him.
He was such a great teammate. He cared about others. He was always wanting to do the right thing, not only for himself, but for us. And, I think the thing, I just respect him so much, being a part of his journey for his last couple years and having firsthand, watching him in workouts, watching him, I remember, in the off season, he was a part of the Seton Hall grounds crew. I'd come to work early in the morning and he'd be out mowing the grass. He'd be out trimming the hedges. He just was such a hard worker, and such a good guy, and someone that you just wanted to do well because you saw how much he was putting in to everything towards his goals.
When he first got here, he could speak English, but not that well. So a lot of the words that I was teaching him at first wasn't good words, right? But he learned those words, and we had a lot of fun in the locker room, and some things you just can't share, experiences that we had in the locker room on the road. But I would say this. I would say when I got hurt, when I messed my ankle up, he was the first person that came to my room when I got back. And to me, that meant a lot. And him and I went through 4 years here of when we first got here, wasn't winning that much, and then every year kind of built it brick by brick by brick by brick until our senior year, and we had a big run. And Remus was a tremendous part of it, a huge part of it.
Well, you don't have runs or special seasons or special moments without players and people like Remus. And certainly we wouldn't have had it if we didn't have him. We talked about the dependability aspect, and certainly that is that's always critical, as we know. And there's another thought in saying that good teams have good players, great teams have great teammates. That team we had, that we were able to kind of push through and have that special moment for our program and our school. We don't have that without Remus because of his ability to be a great teammate. And others were that as well. And you just know that those are the moments that create moments, that create those special opportunities. And that year, that team, had a bond and a chemistry and a fight. And again, that has a lot to do with Remus's footprints and imprints and handprint. he was late. He was all over that in that regard of the glue of things that make those moments really special. And he certainly played his role brilliantly that whole season.
I think Remus deserves to be a Hall of Famer because of everything he accomplished. You know, his numbers speak for themselves, the level of player he became. He came in, you know, during a time that was a little bit down with the program. You know, there have been some losing seasons. You know, he and Shaheen kind of were the catalysts to lift Seton Hall back up to national relevance, you know, to lead a team to the Sweet 16 as a senior. You know, the improvement he made, and also the way he carried himself as a leader, as a teammate, as a student athlete. To me, he embodies, you know, what a Hall of Famer at Seton Hall should be.
Everything that Seton Hall embodies, that's what Remus embodies. You know, like I said, the hard work, the passion, not being recruited heavily, came here and not too many people knew about him. But when he left, everybody knew about him. And just, you know, the legacy that he left, you know, like I said, as a winner, you know, and with those characteristics of him just being an honor roll student as well. Like, you know, when you use the word student athlete, he embodies that, you know, and all those things, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
It is an honor and privilege
For me to present to you
for induction into the Seton Hall University
Athletics Hall of Fame,
Remus Cocainus.
Here. I wrote it down. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Trying to look serious here. How many of you speak English? Raise your hands. Well, 26 years ago, I thought I did too. How many of you would get nervous when one of the best basketball players in the country would ask you a question? Hey, do you know where the bathroom is? My answer was, hi, I'm Remus Cocainus and I'm from Lithuania. Where are you from and what is your name? When I perfectly knew who he was MVP before Kobe Bryant. It was Shaheen Holloway. I don't know what I was thinking, really. I was nervous, like, man, there was a silence then, and then Shah burst out laughing. You can imagine how embarrassed I felt. This happened the very first day at Seton Hall. And that was just the beginning of embarrassment. This happened, I think I experienced this every day during my freshman year. And all these embarrassments continued from day 1 to day 2, day 3. This is how my English really helped me out there on a daily basis. I spoke very little because I couldn't understand anything. I was very quiet, and everything was new for me. The food, the accent, the culture, the style of basketball. But I knew that this was the right place for me. I knew I could learn from everyone, from my teammates, my coaches, my friends, and I did. I was watching, learning, and studying them. I was just happy to be at Seton Hall. And now, I'm standing here in front of you. I mean, how crazy is that? It's an enormous honor for me to be inducted into Seton Hall's Athletic Hall of Fame, along my idols like Nikos Galis, Andrew Gaze, Arturas Karnišovas, and so on. Really, what a great honor to the guy who still doesn't speak English, who escaped
who escaped the country to change the life, a different life, and was not afraid to dive into this madness. One language I knew is that I had to outwork everyone so I could be ready for an opportunity that came across. So I used to come into the Walls gym right before midnight so others wouldn't see me. Big thanks goes to Gail Bryant, Mark Bryant's sister. She used to let me in, lock me there so I could work on my game. Thank you, Gail. She's a big part of my improvement journey at Seton Hall. We kept it hush from everyone because I was embarrassed. I don't know if you know how my game looked my freshman year, but I couldn't dribble the ball my freshman year, and maybe I dribbled 50 times in games first season in total. It's crazy when I think about it. But thanks to Shaheen and Lyle and to their skills, I wanted to learn to dribble like them. I was trying to copy them, I was watching them, I was looking up to them, and I was trying to understand, how in the world do they dribble so well? But step by step, I managed to learn a bit. So it was better by the end of my college career, where we could have been in Elite 8, but we came up a bit short. What I realized that my simple formula just to work out more than anyone brought me success. I was ready to work out 24 hours a day if someone would tell me to do so. Thanks to that, it took me to winning many championships in Europe, took me to the EuroLeague Final Fours, playing for some of the best teams in Europe, and it took me to play against Kobe, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, James Harden, Kevin Durant in the Olympics. That is just unbelievable. I really have to thank everyone who was a part of my journey. I'm so thankful to my family for letting me play basketball. Thankful to my upstate New York school that literally changed my life. Coach Burke, Jeff and Lucy Gifford, McCormick, and my American family, Robert and Jeannie Underhill, for driving me to the gym every day at 6 in the morning. All these people influenced me and showed me the way for the rest of my life, not only in sports, but in sharing kindness and helping others. Needless to say, thank you to Greg Herenda, coming up to upstate New York and shooting with me to see for himself if my stats were actually true, not forged, if I could play basketball at all. Thank you, Greg, for bringing me to Seton Hall. Huge thank you goes out to Tommy Amaker for pushing me and believing me and making me better. Thank you to Chris Collins and the coaching staff for challenging me and helping me to get better every single day. Thank you to John Morton for teaching me and working out with me every summer. That was huge for me. Thank you to all my friends that are actually here for being there by my side and supporting me throughout every single game. Thank you to the managers that put up with my constant annoying requests. Can you rebound for me? Thank you to all my teammates for being there by my side and for listening and making me better. Thank you to my agent Kenny Grant for my professional career and listening to my messages and annoying calls in funny Lithuanian accent on how the game should be played in order to win. And of course, the biggest thank you goes to my wife and my kids for putting up with me and listening to the basketball every single day. I still don't understand how she put up with me, but thank God she was there for me. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you. I want to repeat myself. I have the biggest charitable foundation in Lithuania. I'm the current president of MKL Students Basketball League that unites 450 basketball teams in the country, in Lithuania. Thanks to you, I'm the president of a new basketball team that will compete in European Euro Cup competition. And thanks to you, I became a commissioner for International Human Rights Commission. And all that is your merit. I bow down to you because you are all amazing people, and I will cherish this for the rest of my life. And you will always remain in my heart. You have a Lithuanian friend forever. Thank you.
There were a lot of stories that could not be put in there, so I'll just leave it at that. Next up, Kevin Lyles.
Kevin wanted to be good in everything. I mean, if Kevin and I was playing marbles, I think Kevin wanted to be the best playing marbles, you know.
He always wanted to come to Seton Hall. From age 12, he had come up here on a basketball camp here at Seton Hall. And from that time forward, he was talking about how he wanted to come to Seton Hall. He wanted to play basketball. So part of his dream was realized. He did come to Seton Hall, but he ran track instead of playing basketball. But he had a lot of fun here, and he enjoyed himself.
When I started with those kids, there were like 25 freshmen in 1988. Kevin wins the county 200 meters, unexpected. In his sophomore year, when we had started to have some success from our indoor program and our outdoor program, he had 3 guys that were faster than him at 200. And I can remember his disappointment in coming to me and saying, "Coach, I'm not going to be able to defend my 200 meters. And I said, "Kevin, I can't. You have 3 of your teammates that are faster than you." But I said, "You'll be the number 2 400-meter runner in this meet today." I said, "Just be patient." And it's the 400 meters that really brought him here to Seton Hall, because he went from a 50.2 quarter miler as a sophomore in high school down to 46.84 as a senior, and that really cemented, you know, that's when Coach Moon was really interested in Kevin, and Kevin came here and dominated.
How can I explain Kevin Lyles? First of all, he was good. He was awesome, okay? And he's the type of athlete. He was a coach's dream, you know, I mean, coaching Kevin was very easy, you know, and matter of fact, just to see him run was just a beautiful thing to see. A tall guy like that with long legs, with good form.
He is he's determined, and he's got a strong will. He has leadership skills and abilities. He's helpful and very friendly, makes friends pretty easily. And he's his own person. He's not a follower.
He was just, his presence. When Kevin would come into a court, come into a track or come into a room, seemed like to me all eyes gonna be on him. His presence just dictated your attention.
Well, I checked with him, and he says he was a great student, but he didn't start or didn't get on the dean's list until he got into his junior year. So I would say he was a good student, working on being a great student. He came up here like any 18-year-old from high school and learning how to, I mean, he was used to being a student athlete because he was at high school, but this freedom that he all of a sudden had, so he had to learn how to discipline himself. But he had a lot of support. He got it together in his junior year. He was on the dean's list, and his senior year. And I mentioned he had a lot of support because He had the coaches, Coach Moon and Coach Bumpus at the time. They would encourage him, because they're getting a copy of that report card. But they would encourage him if anything was slipping or with his grades. In terms of his social life, they would let me know about that too. If something that they thought they were saw that was of a concern to them, they would let me know, and I would have to mention it to Kevin.
But Kevin's work ethic, okay, as I said before, he's a gentleman, okay, and he was a student, and his personality is kind of laid back, which is interesting, but a fierce competitor, you know, and so I think that was almost a match made in heaven, Seton Hall and Kevin Lyles.
It wasn't funny, but I remember having a Big East championship at Syracuse, you know, and I think usually I make out a sheet of all individuals as what they're going to participate in, and I had Kevin running the 400 and come back, you know, on the mile relay, and Kevin came to my office, I think it was and he says, "Well, Coach, you know what? The 200 is durable. I can run the 200." And I said, "Kevin, it's real close. It's too close." I said, "That is impossible. You can't do it." You know, and I think I shouldn't have said that, because Kevin said, "Coach, I can do that. I can run the 200, and I can win it, and I can win the 4, what have you." You know, and make a long story, he was he got to be the most valuable runner of the competition.
Kevin is a beast. He is a 22-time Big East champion, and his 17 individual Big East championships are still a league record today.
The impact I would say that Kevin had, not only here at Seton Hall, but I think throughout our conference and throughout the country, is just the idea, he set the standard very high. You know, individuals on the team wanted to be in his presence. You know, he's the kind of guy that when you go to a competition, you want to look at him. You want to see Kevin Lyles. You may have heard so much about him, but you want to see him. You know, and he was just motivated the whole team. You know, everyone wanted to be like Kevin. And when I went out to recruit, first thing the new recruits would say is like, "I want to meet Kevin Lyles." What kind of guy is Kevin Lyles? You know, what have you? You know, but Kevin's kind of guy he was respected on the field and is respected, you know, off the field.
He did well academically, athletically, okay, and he was an All-American. So on that basis alone, okay, I think he qualified for that, not really understanding all the particulars of the criteria.
Everything that Kevin accomplished says Hall of Fame, says All-American, says All-Conference. I mean, every meet. I mean, look, the guy was in the Big East, was in the Metropolitan Conference. He's all Metropolitan. Was in the IC4A Conference, all IC4A. We're in the Big East Conference, all Big East. NC2A, all American. You know what I mean? And that's not even mentioning anything about the academic component of it. You know, you put all those together, are you kidding? You cannot be a Hall of Fame without Kevin in it. Impossible.
It is an honor and a privilege
for me to present to you,
for induction to the Seton Hall University
Athletics Hall of Fame,
Kevin Lyles.
Thank you. Good evening. Before I really get started, I just want to set some things straight. My mom had you thinking that I wasn't a good student. Freshman year was interesting. I got it together sophomore year. So when she says Dean's List, it was 3 8s from my junior year on. So the coaches did not have to call my mom. They didn't need to keep an eye on me. Bowling Hall was safe. All right. But for me, tonight is all about appreciation. Many times in life, we go too long without saying thank you. So tonight, I do want to say thank you. To the Seton Hall University and President Dr. Nyer, thank you for your commitment to making Seton Hall one of the top universities in this country. To the athletic department, led by Brian Phelp, thank you for your commitment and your vision for the athletic department. I feel so much pride, in Seton Hall. When I see the different teams, the basketball teams, the baseball team, the soccer team, volleyball, all the sports doing well, it brings joy to my heart. Now, of course, I'm a track athlete, so if there was a track team here again, I'd be bursting. To Coach Moon and the track team and the track program that was here at Seton Hall, you've been a constant and a rock. You're synonymous with Seton Hall. Thank you for bringing generations together under your leadership and tutelage. No matter where I go, when I talk about Seton Hall, everybody wants to talk about track. Everybody wants to talk about John Moon. To my fellow Seton Hall athletes and inductees, to my fellow Seton Hall athletes, my former teammates, those who were in the school when I was in school, and thank you, because you made Seton Hall fun. We had a lot of fun times together, specifically my track teammates, going to the gym, going to the cafeteria, spending time together on bus rides and track meets, And then just the different athletes that we saw here. I walked through the Seton Hall Walsh Gym today, and I saw some of the old athletes there. I saw some of the same people that I attended here. Today, I saw some athletes that were there when I was there. So they made Seton Hall fun. They changed my life. To my family, my mother, my wife, my brothers, my siblings, my children, my friends that have been able to come, thank you. You've been my support system and my inspiration. You've been my sounding board and my accountability. I say thank you to you too. As my mother said, my journey to Seton Hall started when I was real young. That 1989 championship team, they were an inspiration to me. They made me really want to come to Seton Hall. After that, I couldn't talk about anything else. And I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't let go easy. However, it wasn't meant to be for basketball. That was a dream. That was a hoop dream that evaporated quickly. However, Seton Hall did not. So through different basketball camps, finding out that Coach Moon and one of the other coaches lived in my town, from their recruitment of a few athletes from my high school, it solidified it in my mind that Seton Hall was a place for me, and it turned out pretty well for me. Seton Hall opened doors in my life I hadn't even dreamed of. When I talk to young people, I always tell them about college. The greatest lessons you're going to learn are outside of the classroom. And there's 3 of those that I want to kind of share with you today, little stories. Hazard Zet forward. I know we all know what that means. That's the school motto. To me, it means despite difficulty, push on. I had a teammate. He came in with me as a freshman. So I was a highly touted freshman. I came in, I was on scholarship. This young man, also from New Jersey, didn't come in highly touted. He was a walk-on, as a matter of fact. And he wasn't a sprinter like me. He was in a different group. However, he would train with the other guys, and they would wipe the floor with him. mostly every day. He would come in every day, and he'd be at the back of the pack every day. And you're looking at him like, wow, do you even belong here? I mean, you're young, you're 18, 19, you're full of yourself. But what I saw from that young man, he continued to push. Every year he got better. Every year he got better. By the end of his time here at Seton Hall, by the end of our time, he was a captain on the team. He was on all the top relays, and he had earned scholarship money. He kept pushing through those difficulties, and they paid off for him. Another time, as a college senior, I had a roommate, and after, all the athletes know, after for a couple of years, you probably don't want an athlete as a roommate because you see them at practice, you see them in the calf, you see them if you're here for spring breaks and winter breaks and summer breaks, they're still here too. So you want somebody who goes home. You want somebody who's not there when you're there. They're in class, they're at the pub, wherever they are, you're not. That's what you want. So I purposely had roommates that weren't athletes my last couple of years. And so this young man, he was just a regular student. And, we all judge by how people look, what they wear, back in the day, that's how it was. He moved in, he had a closet full of white tees, ripped blue jeans, and work boots. I'm like, through time, we became friends, and I got to know him a little bit. His father was a CEO of a company that made printing labels for a large shipping company. So despite how he dressed, what he wore, he was in a class that I was not. We shouldn't look at each other determine what somebody's worth is based on what they look like and how they dress, because a lot of people wear their success on their bodies when they should have it in the bank. That's a lesson I learned from him at Seton Hall. As a college junior, I had another roommate. This young man spent 2 years in juvenile detention before he came to Seton Hall. He learned to read while he was in juvenile detention. He got his GED while in juvenile detention. Then he came to Seton Hall. I was already a big man on campus. I had my scholarship paid for, all this. When he got to Seton Hall, he had several scholarships, enough money because of the work he put in. He made sure that once he was in juvenile detention, he said, I'm going to become a lawyer because I didn't like how they treated me while I was in juvenile detention. So he put forth the effort, and he not only did he come to Seton Hall, but he had scholarships, merit scholarships, for someone who just learned to read and just got their GED to pay for school, tuition, room and board, and he had money for just regular life. I was a student athlete back in 1995. Student athletes couldn't work. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for laundry. And this young man put forth the effort. He stayed up on a nightly basis. He wanted to go to Cornell Law School. By the end, it was my junior year, it was his sophomore year. He would stay up every night because he was still a slow reader. He had just learned to read a couple of years earlier. So he would be up every night reading his material, going through it, trying to understand what it said. Every week he was calling Cornell, telling them how he was doing in classes. He's sending them his grades. I'm watching this. He's sending him his grades. He's doing all this work to be better, to get better. At the end of the year, he had gotten accepted into Cornell pre-law. The lessons that I learned here at Seton Hall, I'll leave you with this. No one starts out on top in life. As my fellow inductees can attest to, it takes hard work, focus, and a little luck to achieve greatness. But if we don't let difficulties hold us back, if we don't get caught up in the hype of our success, and if we don't settle, but push on to our goals, then we might be able to look back on our lives and recognize that we lived a life worth living. Go Hall.
Thank you, Kevin. Last but certainly not least, Patrick Murray.
If I had to describe Pat Murray, I would describe him as one of the nicest, genuine, sincere, and loyal people. And in my time at Seton Hall and knowing him, it's been incredible watching his impact on Seton Hall and certainly Seton Hall athletics, but I'm more proud of the fact that I can call him one of my close friends.
Pat was an extraordinary leader on the Board of Regents, particularly in his role as board chair. There are several criteria that I consider in assessing the quality of a leader on a board. Where was the institution? Where was the strength of the administration? And where is the quality of the board pre and post a leader's involvement? And if you look at each of those criteria, Seton Hall has fared very well under Pat's leadership. The institution's reputational, academic, and financial strength is clearly better after Pat. The administration, I would argue, is the strongest administration in the school's history from top to bottom. And I think in terms of the quality of regents, I think the commitment and quality of the Board of Regents is as good or better as ever in the history of the university.
Pat is one of the most genuine, loyal, generous, and dedicated people I've ever met. He is a great father, he's a great grandfather. I am truly lucky to be able to call him a friend. Pat is one of those people that he will always be there for you, no matter what.
I think what stands out most, though, to me about Pat is his humility. Pat never pulled rank. Pat always wanted to hear the other person's perspective rather than sharing his. But despite his humility as a leader, no one ever doubted who the boss was on the Board of Regents, and just so grateful for the many, many years of contributions he made to the board.
One of the things I really love about Pat more than anything is our conversations on leadership, and I learned so much from Pat. He was, whether I watched him in a Board of Regent meeting, whether I watched him in another meeting or a dinner, or just our private one-on-one sessions, it was always such a great learning experience for me. Pat was one of the greatest leaders I've ever been around, and it was such a pleasure to be able to lean on him and to utilize him to help me grow as a better person and a better leader as well.
Pat's impact on athletics at Seton Hall University cannot be overstated. It was enormous. Pat's leadership really changed the trajectory of the university's emphasis and support of athletics, whether it be facilities, budgets, whatever the university needs to advance its athletic programs. Pat was not only a supporter, but a leader in that regard. And if you look at the success that we've achieved over the last decade, no one deserves more credit than Pat Murray. And we would not have achieved that level of success absent Pat. And I'm confident in claiming that no region has ever contributed more to Seton Hall athletics than Pat has.
Pat's impact on athletics is truly immeasurable. From the time he took over the board, he was committed every day to make Seton Hall athletics what it is today, a place where great things happen.
Pat's impact on the athletic department is really hard to put in words, because as much as we're trying to do all these things and we're at the forefront and people are seeing the coaches and the athletic administration and all the staff and all working so hard, none of that happens, and any of the success that we've had, none of that happens without someone behind you. And Pat was always squarely behind us, whether it was just telling us to keep up the good work and staying so positive with us. To this day, I get a text message from Pat Murray after every game. Every basketball game he texts us, win, lose, doesn't matter, I get something from Pat Murray. And it's just incredible to think about the commitment that he's had to what we were trying to build here. And so when I think of Pat, it's really, I just can't put into words how grateful we all are for what he's done, for how he supported us, and certainly our friendship.
There's probably a litany of reasons why Pat is deserving. I think the most significant reason was he transformed the way that the board and as a result the university viewed athletics at Seton Hall. We committed as a university under Pat's leadership to achieve excellence, and that could be measured by very tangible things like the significantly improved facilities, including the planned basketball practice facility, wins and losses, Big East championships, but I think most importantly the culture. And really none of that, or certainly not to the degree of that, would have been possible but for Pat's leadership and commitment to excellence. And for that and many, many more reasons, Pat is richly deserving of his place in the Hall of Fame.
Pat Murray deserves to be in the Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame for his determination, his drive, his passion, his leadership, and his loyalty to Seton Hall athletics over the years. And to be a good team, you have to have a team behind the teams, and Pat Murray was one of those teams behind the teams.
It is an honor and a privilege for me to present to you,
for induction into the Seton Hall University Athletics Hall of Fame, Pat Murray.
One old age. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much to Hank, to Kevin, and to Pat Lyons for your very kind introduction and very generous comments. You fooled me. I thought you guys were going to say something very different. Unfortunately, Pat can't be with us tonight because of COVID. I'm also grateful to Dr. Nyer for all he has done for Seton Hall in the past 3 years, during a particularly trying time for the university. I'm very appreciative as well of his support for my nomination. I'd like to thank my wife, Mary Ann, Suzanne and Ben Hines, my daughter and son-in-law, and for our other family members who are here tonight. Let me take this occasion also to welcome Coach Shaheen Holloway back home to Seton Hall. Shaheen had a great career here as a player and as an assistant coach. And of course, we all saw what he accomplished in the NCAA tournament. I am very confident in Shaheen's future success at Seton Hall. I would like to acknowledge Kevin Willard's accomplishments while he was here at the Hall. Through his leadership, we returned to national prominence during his 12 years here. In my time as chair of the Board of Regents, the board determined that the athletic program was a strategic imperative for Seton Hall. To that end, we committed to invest in it. Pat Lyons was appointed as athletic director and brought Seton Hall a vision and expertise that created a winning culture in both athletics and academics. Since then, we have substantially improved our facilities, improved our coaching staff, and improved our performance in all of our athletic programs. The establishment of the Doler Academic Center for Excellence has been a key in improving the academic performance of our student athletes that will no doubt have a positive influence on their future lives. Mary Ann and I are delighted to sponsor the Leadership Forum for Student Athletes, which brings together our athletes with business leaders from the community. It provides a forum to discuss experiences and opportunities that athletes transitioning into a new career. In closing, I am very, very proud to receive this special recognition, and am particularly honored to be included with those whose names and achievements are listed on the wall in Walsh Gym, and the 5 other people who are here tonight. Thank you all very much.
Pat, thank you very much. One more round of applause for all 6 of our inductees this evening. Quick special thanks to our communications staff for the videos, the Pirate Blue staff for putting this on, our Gourmet Dining Services team, as well as the staff here in the President's office for helping us put this great event on during a very, very busy week. On the back of the program, you'll see some of our upcoming Pirate Blue events. Please, hopefully you can make any or all of them, as they're always a great evening. I would ask that all 6 of our honorees please head over to the backdrop to my left with your plaques for a photo opportunity. And once again, thank you all for attending the 2020-2022 Athletics Hall of Fame. Please get home safely and go Pirates.